hello, and welcome to an episode of Always in Escrow with Serena Appel and Colby Burchin. Hello, Colby.
You are so energized today. Hello, Serena.
I am so beyond thrilled to welcome my dear friend and colleague, Rachel Hechtman. She is the founder of Sober in Central Park and the head of events and partnerships for Soft Bar, a new brand dedicated to showcasing the best in non-alcoholic beverages. As a sober coach and ADHD advocate, Rachel is redefining sobriety by creating inclusive, vibrant spaces that celebrate connection, wellness, and non-alcoholic culture. Rach, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I love the energy. I'm so happy to be here.
This has been a long time coming because Rachel and I were connected many months ago. It was an instant connection for us on so many levels. And also, she is an incredible colleague in the non alcoholic space. Let's just jump into all of it because she is so inspiring to me and her audience. So, Colbs, take it away.
So, you shared Central Park playing a big role in your sobriety journey. What about walking in Central Park helped you through that transition?
Oh my gosh, Central Park is just has the most magical healing vibes. I mean, it's hard to describe if you haven't been there. But when you're in the city and it's like hustle, bustle, so much going on, and you enter Central Park, it's like you're in this like oasis of calm, and you're in nature. And I think when I was starting my journey, I just needed to get it really down to the basics. And I had no idea kind of like what I was doing, what was happening, but I started my day every single morning with this really long walk in Central Park. And it was my way of like meditating, of moving my body, of exercising, exploring something that was like in my backyard that I never ever took advantage of when I was drinking. And I kind of just like had this symbolism in my journey that like that's how I started my day no matter what. If it was raining, snowing, whatever, like I was there, and I made all these friends in the park, and it just held me together in times where I wanted to fall apart. Every time I wanted a drink, I would just walk to the park. Every time I was sad, I would walk to the park. And it changed everything for me.
So, you were experiencing challenges and breakthroughs and, different climate and changes in the weather and seasons and all this. And really, what were like some significant realizations that were happening during these walks? Like, and that you would share with your incredible community too.
A lot of times when I would go on these walks, like a lot of stuff was changing in my life really rapidly. When I first started going on them, I wasn't sober yet. I didn't have a job. It was still COVID lockdown. I came back into New York. Like we left for a few months during 2020. I came back and I was looking for a job. I was trying to lose weight. Like I literally didn't recognize myself in the mirror. And I was just trying to like hold myself accountable. I didn't know my way around Central Park. I was like embarrassed to tell people that. I had only like drank in Central Park because like why in my past would I ever want to just go like sit in the park? No, I want to go sit in a bar. So I didn't even know my way around and I was super scared of like getting lost. So at the beginning, I would just go and like literally like walk one path in behind the Met and then like turn around and come back with my dog. And that was all I could do at the beginning. And then I got sober a few months later. And as I got sober and started going, and mind you, I got sober in January of 2021. And so it's cold. We're putting on 2 pairs of pants. My dog has his coat on, and we are going to the park. My dog, George, is a little explorer, and he loves to push me out of my comfort zone. And so he would just keep pulling me into the park further and further and further. And it was really symbolic of my journey because as I got further on my journey, like we journeyed further into the park and we went from going on this one tiny little path to just the Great Lawn to literally making our own 6 mile walk off leash with the dog. Like he had never gone off leash before. I remember that was like April 2021 and he started like roaming around off leash and we just took the park and it was really cool to like feel like I don't know, I had really pushed myself out of my comfort zone from like not knowing my way around to like now I give my own little tours.
Yeah, I've been on a few of those tours, not the like official tours, but we've wandered around together over to Summer Stage with George in tow. And it is, first of all, Rachel also keeps up a really fast pace. So you have to keep up with those long legs.
It's true. It's true. We walk fast. Like we're moving and we're grooving. We got to keep the blood moving. But honestly, like I lost a ton of weight, like a lot of weight in that first year of sobriety, and I only walked. I did not do anything else. Like around 9 months in, I kind of started going into the gym and like lifting a few weights here and there. But like people would always ask me, "How'd you lose the weight?" Like walking. That's it.
Yes.
Serena, we both grew up in New York City, and I could tell you, yes, I've been to Central Parks many times, but to say I actually know where things are, no. I'm still every time now coming back with my kids to New York from Florida, I still don't know. I find new things all the time, and I grew up in New York City, so it is interesting.
I love that you call it an oasis. It really is such a magical place, to wander around and to, you can wander into like find a little brook. You can find, so much calm and enjoyment. Um, Rachel, do people like see you and recognize you now when you're walking around?
Yes. The first time it happened though was not in Central Park. I will never forget the first time it happened was here on the Upper East Side. It was a heat wave. It was like summer of 2022 and it was so hot I couldn't take the subway to work. I was like I have to take the bus. So I was standing at the 79th Street bus stop on 2nd Ave and I was like missed the bus by like 30 seconds. And I was like, no. When I was about to get an Uber, some girl comes up to me. She's like, hi, this might be really weird, but are you sober in Central Park? I was like, I am. She's like, I've been following you for a while. I'm 8 months sober, like blah, blah, blah. And she just like kept talking. And I had never had anybody come up to me that I didn't know, especially like strangers. Like, yeah, I have a dog. So you do talk to strangers on the street a lot more often when you have a dog, but I didn't have the dog with me. I'm trying to get to work. And I'm like, who's talking to me? Oh my God, you know who I am? It was wild. But yes, people do come up to me in Central Park and say stuff and say hi.
That must be such a great feeling.
It's an interesting feeling, I will say. Like, I as a New Yorker, you're really not used to, like, just talking to strangers a lot, you know? Like, um, but yeah, no, I mean, it happens in the neighborhood sometimes, and people are really sweet. But yeah, it's a weird feeling.
So, how has ADHD influenced your journey to sobriety, and how do you see these experiences intersecting?
Oh my gosh. I mean, when I think back to what led me here, how I got into how I had got a problem with substances, it all goes back to ADHD. ADHD is the literal root cause of that, but also of my whole life. Like my most things I do are because of my ADHD or a reaction or a result. Um, going back to my childhood, like we moved around a lot as a kid and we were state to state. I was always the new kid. And then we were in Connecticut. My parents got divorced and I ended up going to boarding school to repeat my sophomore year. And it only took a few months of being at boarding school before a teacher was like, did you forget to take your meds today? And I was like, what meds? And she was like, oh my gosh, you need to go get diagnosed for ADHD. And I got put on medication and things changed really quickly for a few years. I felt great and I was really successful and I was doing well in school, but no one like sat down and said, your brain works differently than the neurotypical person. Like you don't produce as much dopamine as a typical person. And that means that anything that does produce a dopamine response in your brain, you can really easily become addicted to. And I never understood that until after I got sober. And so, I I don't know if that would have changed anything if someone had said that to me because I was already drinking, I was already smoking, I was already doing things before I got diagnosed. And the statistic is if you're ADHD and you are experimenting with substances before being put on medication, you're 4 times as likely to develop a substance use problem. And so, my brain was already like, gimme, gimme, gimme to the alcohol, the nicotine, the whatever it was. Um, and yeah, so I think now looking back and really understanding why I do certain things, how my brain works, it's easier to have acceptance and love for myself versus like the whole time I was drinking, I just beat myself up all the time. It's like, that was stupid. That was dumb. Why did I do that? Like all of these things that were really like things that were ADHD symptoms that I it was really hard to control. So I don't know if that answers the question, but they're very, they're very tied together.
It certainly answers the question. It's also something that you share, you're very transparent on your feed, which is Sober in Central Park, and you share a lot of personal views and kind of like, just anecdotes. And I think it makes you so approachable and accessible, and I think it also resonates with so many people.
Thank you.
Let's talk about coaching for a second because you're a sober coach. You also offer coaching one on one, and I hear there's rumblings of possible group coaching coming down the line too. So, what inspired you to become a sober coach? What do you find the most rewarding about that work?
Wow. I mean, I didn't even know what a coach was until I was maybe like a little over a year sober. When I made my Instagram account, I was about 9 months into my journey, and I because I got sober in 2021 when it was still kind of lockdown, there were no in-person support group meetings. So I just kind of I do not recommend this, but I white knuckled my it at the beginning. Like I just didn't drink. It was like willpower. I'm not doing this, and that's a really, really hard way to get sober. Um, so at about 9 months, I realized I have no community. I have no support. I had broken up with my ex. I had like left all my old friends in the past. I was like on my own and I was lonely. And I also was scared that something was going to trigger me and I was going to go back to drinking. And I did not want that to happen. So I was like, okay, I'm going to publicly hold myself accountable because the one time I shared about it on Instagram, it felt so real. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to make a new Instagram account. I'm going to share about my journey. Maybe I'll like help someone out there who's also feeling the same and it will hold me accountable. So that was like the goal of the Instagram account. And I never in a million years thought it would become anything more than just like a silly little Instagram account. Maybe I'd post some pictures of the park, maybe of my dog. But after like I would say only like 6 months into the account, I started getting DMs from people that were like, "Your account changed my life. I'm sober now. Thank you so much." Like or how did you get sober? Like asking me all of these questions and wanting advice and just like telling me that like me sharing my journey inspired them to stop drinking or reevaluate their relationship with alcohol. And as someone that worked in the nonprofit space, like trying to make change in my community, there's nothing that feels more of a direct impact than getting a DM from someone that says like this helped them stop drinking. So I always knew I wanted to write a book. I never knew why, but like something deep in me since high school was like, I want to write a book. So I found this woman on Instagram who had written a book about not drinking. And I just DM'd her one day and I was like, could you maybe help me? I want to write a book. So, anyways, we start talking. Turns out she's a coach. She's a big deal coach. And she kind of explains to me what a coach does and why she thinks that I'm a coach. And so we work together. I do a year-long certification with her and I started coaching people and helping them not only just stop drinking, but kind of getting to like the root causes of why are we drinking? How do we find new coping mechanisms? How do we change things up in our lives? Because if we just remove the alcohol and we don't change other things, we're going to find ourselves in the situations that led us to drink in the first place. And so really getting clear on our why, getting clear on what we want to change, what do we want our new life to look like, how do we get there, right? And holding people accountable. Like sometimes people I talk to live in like small towns where if they go to a support meeting in person, they know everyone there and they don't really feel comfortable with that or they don't identify with certain labels. And so, having a coach that they can talk to every week that holds them accountable, pushes them out of their comfort zone, that's the path for some people. So yes, coaching is amazing, and there's no greater feeling than, like, watching somebody transform their lives in front of you. I mean, it's really a powerful, powerful thing to see.
So you work with people, individuals, and you work with groups. So you just reach out to you on Instagram or your website, and then people can start working.
Yeah, send me an email, message me on my through my website. Yeah, you can send me a DM. It usually takes me a little bit longer to get back to those. Um, But yeah, we always set up a call first to make sure we're a good fit energetically, because I'm not just like, it's not like I'm just working with everybody. Like that's just, I have to make sure I can actually feel like I can help the person before we move forward. And if I don't think I can, I'm going to refer them to people that I think can help, or, give them other resources. But yes, the rumblings of dry January group are, I think, going to be true. I really want to try to make things accessible to people, and dry January is how I got sober, and so there's no better time to do it.
Incredible. Well, I mean, I love that. I love, that I'm in the space for everybody out there. I've been in the non-alcoholic beverage space for about 7 years now. And before that, I was in beverages really my entire career. And it included non-alcoholic beverages like Snapple, and then it included alcoholic beverages like Don Julio and Sam Adams. And I had a long run of work with incredible, liquids. But now I am so fortunate because I've really been working in this non-alcoholic space. I've represented some incredible brands, one of which, Rachel, is Good Time Brewing, and many others as well. But there's something that I want to put out your motto, because there's something about you, that I love, and I love being with you because you always say you don't have to drink to have a great time when you're out and about. And I really love that. And, I've also had the pleasure of drinking some non alcoholic drinks with you. And you've become this beverage aficionado. So, how did that develop? And where's all this knowledge coming from of non-alc?
Oh my gosh, like, I think I laugh because if you had told the old version of me that, like, this was what my life would be, and I'd be, like, consulting with non-alcoholic beverage companies, I would have just, like, not believed you. Um, but so all of this happened super organically, and it's like, I think sometimes people message me and they think I, like, started this Instagram page with the intent of, like, making a business and doing all, and that's just, like, not what happened at all. And so it all anyways, the timing of everything really lined up in terms of the sober movement becoming a thing, non-alcoholic beverages becoming a thing, and my sobriety. It was just like this, I don't know, all came together at the same time. And yeah, exactly. It was in alignment, and I remember the beverages though. I we got an ad one day for Three Spirit, and they're a non-alcoholic beverage company, and I saw it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have to try." I was a whiskey drinker, and I saw that they had this one called the Nightcap that, people were saying was like a good replacement for whiskey, and it has adaptogens in it, it makes you relax, and I was like, "I wanna try this." So I ordered it, and I got it, and I fell in love. I became obsessed, and I was like, "This is, like, the greatest thing since sliced bread." I understand the hype, and so one day I messaged them on Instagram, not thinking they'd ever respond. I didn't even have 1,000 followers, and I was like, "I love what you guys are doing. If you" I don't know what I even said, and they said, "Oh, do you want us to send you a code, an affiliate code?" I was like, "Me? You're gonna send me a code?" I, like, couldn't believe it. And so they sent me a code, and that was the beginning. Then they sent me product, and then I started talking about different non-alcoholic beverages, and that, like, led it gave me the confidence, though, I think, to, like, talk to more non-alcoholic beverage companies, and it was still so new then. There were not nearly as many options as there are now. And so I started talking to more companies, more of them started sending me product, started sharing about it, until, like, it just became like all these companies started messaging me like, "Can we send you our products? Will you try it? Blah, blah, blah." And I started consulting with them and learning a lot from these founders of different companies, and, like, really becoming friends with different founders of these companies, and, like, what goes into creating a beverage, the time, the money, the process. And then I started, yeah, like, making content about it, doing events. I mean, so it really is just it evolved.
What's the most exciting part of creating a space like Soft Bar? How do you see this concept evolving?
There are not many spaces that exist at all, especially in New York, that are dedicated spaces without alcohol. Like, it's hard to find, let alone a space where you can go specifically to make friends, to network, to congregate, to socialize with other like minded people who also either aren't drinking today aren't drinking forever. It really doesn't matter, but it's a space for people that are just choosing to be healthy, mindful, conscious of what they're putting in their body. And, we're going to do a lot of intentional programming at Soft Bar too, to really like show people and educate people on what is an adaptogenic drink, what is like ashwagandha, like what do these things do to your body, and have great programming in terms of speakers and panels and networking events, and just a place to go to have fun and drink a sophisticated beverage that has functionality, but just without the alcohol. Like at our friends and family launch party, people were drinking the beverages and coming up to us and being like, I forgot there wasn't even alcohol in here. It's like just there's so many flavors. It's so incredible. And that's the goal.
Do you have any future plans or upcoming events for Sober in Central Park that you're particularly excited about?
I do actually. In a few short weeks, I will be hosting an amazing sound experience at Sage and Sound here on the Upper East Side, which I know that you're a fan of as well. And we'll be going through the whole sound journey, but also having some non-alcoholic beverages, talking about my relationship too with sound frequencies and sound healing, which I listen to healing frequencies all night long on while I sleep. Like different vibrations from 528 hertz, 999 hertz, like all different ones to do different things. And I promise, like, it has changed my life. So, I think sometimes the power of sound is underrated, and, yeah, just providing this fun experience for people to come and do.
Great. So there's that. And then you had one other one that you told me about that sounds so fun and delish.
Right, I'm popping up at Ali Doro Sandwiches, which is, like, they're, like, a hot sandwich place here in New York City. They have a bunch of locations, actually. I'll be popping up there at their Bryant Park location, on the 15th of November, just having people try geese and wines, which, oh my gosh, geese is so good, alcohol removed wine. So we'll be doing that. Um and yeah, I think there's a bunch of dry January things going on with Soft Bar. There's a few things that are about to be announced too. So if you're interested, make sure you're following along on Sober in Central Park and on Soft Bar to hear about some other really fun events that are happening. But yeah, it's going to be a good few months. I'm excited about it.
Going to be a great few months and an amazing year ahead. We have you. We have all of this innovation. We have this conversation that is just shifting drinking culture, which I am so excited to continue to explore with you, Rachel. Anything else that you want to share with our audience? Because we just loved having you.
Oh, I've loved being here. The energy with you guys is amazing. Um, you know, I think if anyone out there is listening and struggling to actually give up alcohol, just know that don't give up. Okay. One day everything just clicks. And that's what happened to me. I don't know how or why, but one day it just all made sense and it came together. And I see a lot of times people are trying and trying and they give up right before the magic happens and right before the click happens. So it's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel a little awkward and weird, but that means you're growing and you're shifting and you're changing and pushing your comfort zone. And if it was comfortable, you wouldn't be moving your comfort zone. So just remind yourself of that. It's supposed to feel weird. It's supposed to feel a little uneasy, but that means you're doing something right. So reach out if you need support. You're not alone and you can do this.
Beautifully said.
Incredible. Thank you, my dear friend. And I can't wait for all that's to come, all of these unlimited possibilities ahead of us. Thank you for joining us. We love you.